We got Legler, we got Redick, we got Graziano, we got Bickerstaff. Who would run the fastest 40 at this table?
Right now or years ago?
At any point.
I don't know if I've ever been timed in a 40.
Yeah, me neither.
I think it's going to be me, guys. I mean, I'm not athletic, but
Booger,
I think I'd win this one.
Yeah, it's fine. Booger might be second.
Come on.
All right, we welcome you back.
I'm going with Dan. Hey, I'm going with Dan Graziano.
You're crazy.
Oh, the disrespect.
Fair enough.
Disrespect, Booger.
Huge mistake.
He's got the cat-like quickness. We're at the C part. We're brought to you by Chase. All right, we got a million places to go, and let's start last night in Memphis. Holy smoke, the drama of the action last night. Game 2, Warriors-Grizzlies. In the early, and I'm talking about early going. Tim Legler, we're less than 3 minutes into the game. Draymond Green throws it. Gary Payton catches it. Dillon Brooks does the rest. We got trouble.
And Memphis pitching a shutout to that point. Dillon Brooks trying to keep that going. Gets there late, and you can just see the contact at the head. And when you take a blind hit, when you're up in the air like that, inability to land the right way, and unfortunately, catastrophic result for Gary Payton.
Yeah, Brooks is ejected. Payton's got a fractured elbow. We'll talk more about that in a minute. Then down goes Draymond Green on an inadvertent elbow from Xavier Tillman. He's on the ground bleeding. He's got to go back, and look at him with the fans now. So we got that going on. Steve Kerr, how about the physical play?
That wasn't physical, that was dirty.
Not physical, dirty. Well, one man's physical is another man's dirty. Fourth quarter, J.J. Redick, 4.5 minutes to play. Warriors leading by 1. Jordan Poole to Steph Curry. The Warriors have a 4-point lead, so the season is on the line, and Ja Morant took over.
Took over, fearlessness all night, found a way on all these possessions to get back to his left hand.
He's inside. He's outside. He scored 18 points in a fourth quarter that, again, had the season on the line. Timmy Legg, Steph Curry was not backing down.
No, great job here. Turns the corner, gets there. Pat did floater for Steph Curry. Overall, Steph Curry had a typical night, but it wasn't enough because of this guy.
Look at the move. Legler did a great breakdown of that one a little earlier. Jordan Poole winds up looking in the wrong direction. Which way did he go? Morant would score 47. That one gave the Grizzlies a 1-point lead, and then J.J. another tough one.
Again, getting to his left, in the paint, elevating. There's just not enough size and length for the Warriors to stop him.
And then the Warriors are down by 3, and wait a minute, they call Clay for the travel. You don't call walking in the NBA.
I will say this to Clay's defense. There were 13 travels that were worse than that game that were not called.
But they called that one, and Ja Morant is saying, hey, we're going to have some fun, and he is making it fun. We're all even at 1 game apiece in this series. Did I mention Morant had 47? He's 22 years old. That's his second career 45-point playoff performance. Look at the company that he is keeping. It's LeBron, it's Kobe, it's Ja. It's the one-name club, and he officially belongs in it. So before we get to any of the controversy, again, J.B. Bickerstaff, I don't have adjectives. Like, how would you describe what we are seeing in this postseason from Ja Morant?
It's the escalation of a superstar. It's that simple. You know, the regular season is one thing, the fourth quarter is another, but superstars are made in the playoffs. And he's continuously shown us what he's capable of. He puts that team on his back. It wasn't a particularly pretty game last night, but it was the fourth quarter, time to get the job done, and he went out and did it.
You know, JJ, I mean, I'm older than you, and so I appreciate the throwback mentality. Like, he's got a modern-day game. He does all the things he's supposed to do in the game today, but he's got, to me, like, he's got the head of someone who played generations ago. He's got that kind of toughness, confidence. He's challenging constantly, going forward constantly. What can I tell you? I love him.
He has a swagger and a fearlessness that is reflected in the rest of the team. He is the leader of that team, you know, along with Dillon Brooks, who has that same swagger and confidence. But Ja very much has the mentality. I'm going to line you up. You can't stop me one-on-one. When I get to that help defense, I'm just going to elevate and score right over you.
He actually has, I think, a similar mentality to Giannis in that he will not be denied. He wants to be not just a guy that's a good player or an all-star or a guy even that wins one time or wins an MVP. He wants to be an all-time great, and that's what he did. You think about what we just showed in those highlights, and I think he had 5 of their last 6 field goals. If he misses any of those shots, they probably lose. That's how important each of those possessions was at the time. Because Golden State is 1-3 away from ending it if Ja Morant is not doing what he's doing.
And think about it. This is season on the line. face-to-face with Steph Curry. I mean, the preeminent player at his position of the generation, and just not backing down an inch. So, Morant, awesome. Series tied at 1 apiece. Now let's get to the controversy. You saw the play there, Dillon Brooks on Gary Payton II, and there were other stuff like that. Here was a little more from Steve Kerr after the game.
I don't know if it was intentional, but it was dirty. And, you know, playoff basketball it's supposed to be physical, but there's a code in this league. There's a code that players follow, where you never put a guy's season/career in jeopardy by taking somebody out in midair and clubbing him across the head and ultimately fracturing Gary's elbow. He broke the code. Dillon Brooks broke the code.
All right, again, I'm sitting with 3 people who would know the code, particularly JB. I mean, you grew up in the game. Was that one beyond? Like, we've seen flagrant 2s. Did that one go a step beyond?
Again, I think it was justly called a flagrant 2. You know, I coached Dillon Brooks for 2 years in Memphis. You know, I know he was not intending to injure, but he put himself in a compromising position, especially when you hit a guy from behind. A guy's in the air, you hit him in the head. You know, his momentum's going to take him to the ground. And then, unfortunately, we saw how it ended.
Yeah, it's a significant play. How about that? Steve Kerr he's taking this up a notch. Broke the code. That feels like a big thing to say. What do you think?
Well, Coach knows this, Legs knows this. When you get to the playoffs, teams talk about a no layup rule. And if you see Dillon Brooks, his body position is sort of, he finishes that swipe and lands. Like, there was a sense of desperation to adhere to that no layup rule code. And to Coach's point, like, I'm not saying Dillon Brooks is a dirty player, but this was a dirty play. For someone who had limited athleticism and could barely run a 40, apparently, you know, I actually broke my wrist 4 times on a similar play, 3 times in high school and once in the NBA. Once you get that momentum, and this was a little different than the Draymond Green play where he's going vertical. On a fast break, once you get that momentum, you're in a very vulnerable position.
And so we've got that factor here. Now let's talk about the outcome. Gary Payton Jr. is going to be out. We haven't gotten the full diagnosis yet, but a fractured elbow certainly doesn't sound like he's coming back anytime soon. So the Warriors are going to have to go it without him. He's an important piece of that puzzle. What does it mean for the series?
He's most equipped to keep him in front. He's most equipped to challenge him, actually, at the end of these
being
plays.
Morant, to be clear.
Correct. And when Ja gets to that place where he's going to hit that trampoline and go up, Gary Payton is most equipped also to go up and at least challenge him better than what Golden State is putting in front of him now. So this is a major factor. You know, I was talking to some Warriors fans last night, and they're all sky is falling now because of Gary Payton. I understand how important he is, but at the same time, he is a role player, a vital role player. But Golden State still has enough to win this series because, number one, how good they are offensively. And also, this is a team that really scraps and competes with what they have. And it may open up some minutes to play a little bit bigger lineup with a guy like Kuminga, who just impressed me so much this season and gives them a little more size and athletic ability in the back line.
Super quick, but last thought from you, Coach. What's the adjustment? If you lose Gary Payton, what's the adjustment defensively on Morant?
I think it's more Wiggins on him and try to send him to his right hand as much as you possibly can. Keep him away from that left hand.
All right, we will see. We'll have much more hoop